Here today with Richard Kedziora, talking about AI and a lot of the facts and mythology around it right now. So you have presented here at the HITLAB Summit. What was the topic of your discussion?
Today we're talking about risks, and some that I think don't get enough attention and others that get a little too much attention. I was saying overhyped risk, things that we don't have to worry about as much as people are worrying about that. Mm-hmm. And one of those, the biggest one in all of that, I think, is hallucinations. People definitely have to be aware and understand that there are hallucinations in AI systems, Gen AI systems, that can make up stuff. We have to be aware of that. But during that presentation, I presented a number of facts about error rates in medical transcriptions, in patient charts. And what was fascinating, the twist at the end of it was they were not AI-related mistakes, they were human-related mistakes. Mm. So we've learned to understand and deal with those human mistakes because we as humans are not perfect, but we've learned how to put the systems and processes in place to deal with that rate of error. So we need to use now the power of AI, even with the idea that it could hallucinate, that it could make up stuff, put the systems and processes in place to use the power of the technology as it exists today, mm-hmm. and not worry about what it actually can do and go, maybe it's 2 years, this will be ready for prime time. Let's use it today, make a difference in healthcare.
Right, and I think a lot of what I heard, especially during yesterday's discussions in the big room, was that, this actually goes back more than a year, is, that AI technology is really not new, and that if you're not actively integrating it in the systems that we have right now, then you're behind. Does that sound about right?
Yes, it's interesting because I went to college in the early 90s and was going to get a PhD in AI in the early 90s. But by that time, it was still 30, 40 years old. So AI has been around for a long time, but people sort of forget that fact. Even today, we all think about generative AI, the large language models, the ChatGPT, the Claude that came out 2 years ago. They're really new. Mm-hmm. There's the forgotten AI, which is machine learning, that's been making a world of difference in terms of technology and image evaluation. The computer can look at an image and assess so much more information better, quicker than a human can. Mm-hmm. That power, that technology is out there. We need to make available of it. How do we implement AI into the systems? We do have to be aware of the risks, but we can develop systems and processes to mitigate those.
Mm-hmm. What kind of demand are you seeing for your services?
There is a lot of demand these days, which is interesting. Everyone wants to talk about AI. That's right. Usually the first topic. What about AI? But that conversation very quickly turns to what about the data that you have? Because AI is driven by the data. So if your data is messy, you're not sure where it is or how to get to it, that's the first problem we have to challenge and attack. So Estenda, I'm the co-founder, we've been doing this for 20 years now. It started with a focus on data. It continues to be a focus on data because that's the foundation for these AI systems. Mm-hmm.
Makes sense, actually, when you explain it like that. Well, people in my business, they want to latch on to the shiny, sparkly thing because that's what's going to sell, drive attention to their websites and then have people read their articles. And a lot of this stuff isn't terribly glamorous and it's not visual per se. So you can see why some folks would have a hard time, latching on to the facts as you describe them. And that's kind of a hurdle that crosses all kinds of boundaries.
It is definitely a challenge. We're actually going after an SBIR grant these days, kind of thing, and we just want to create a research data repository. Mm-hmm. And in this particular instance, it's with smell data, olfactory data. There is not a global repository of that data. There's about 30 tests out there that you can assess your ability to smell and smell odors. Mm-hmm. The challenge is there's no single repository of that data. But as a data repository, there's not a ton of interest. Like, it's okay, yeah, we want it, but what's going to make it more interesting and more sell? So we're going to actually put natural language processing, the Gen AI systems, on top of that data, mm-hmm. to be able to help people understand and query and use that data without having the technical background, without having to know how to program in SAS or R or SQL. You can be able to just talk to the data And that sort of changed the conversation as opposed to, okay, now that we have this data repository, what can we actually do with it?
Well, good luck helping
Thank you.
people clean up their act
Yes.
and make things more streamlined and efficient.
We're trying every day.
Yeah, good luck. All right, RJ, thank you so much for stopping by.
Pleasure. Thank you.